I finally got to spend some time with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and I did a video previously congratulating Respawn Entertainment on a phenomenal Metacritic score, seemingly having gotten over the slump of bad Star Wars games. And I still love Respawn as a company. I still am happy that Star Wars is a much better game than it had been in the past. However, I think this particular installment is not that great of a game. It definitely has its moments. However, to me, there are way too many second-to-second negatives that overall impact and make the experience more negative than positive. I'm not saying I'm not going to play it again. It's not on my list of things that when I run home from work, it's the first thing I want to do. I definitely have fallen back more into Modern Warfare and Sea of Thieves and all of the other games that seem to have really caught my attention. But let's go over some of the pros and cons. You're going to make your decision on your own if you haven't already. I know I'm late to this, but I wanted to put it out there for completion of my own channel and because a lot of you have been asking me, what do you really think about it? So here goes. This game is gorgeous. It is one of the prettiest games that I have seen in a very long time. The lighting effects are next level. The particle effects, the just overall look and feel of capturing that Star Wars universe is spot on. And I am playing on a PC, 2080 Ti, ultra widescreen support right out of the box. It looks beautiful. I would also like to caveat that the sound design, I think, is very well done with that distinct whooshing and humming of the lightsaber, the stormtrooper blasters, jets, different kinds of explosions and just different whooshing and animal sounds that you're going to uncover across all these crazy planets you're going to explore. All are just spot on. They've done such a phenomenal job on fidelity of this game that it definitely is the absolute top thing I could take away from this. There's also good emphasis on exploration. The worlds are very Metroidvania-like. You're going to get to a lot of places that you cannot proceed through. And it's frustrating at first, but ultimately satisfying when you do get to come back. Sometimes in that one loop of the planet, sometimes you have to go to another planet and learn something and then come back to explore the first planet again. But it is satisfying ultimately when you get to progress through levels and get to see more stuff. They've also heavily emphasized Dark Souls and that From Software model of a circular level design where levels seemingly constantly intersect with one another over and over, and you're going to constantly uncover new paths and new ways to traverse to get to places you've been before, which is nice. I do like that a lot. It definitely makes that revisit third, fourth, fifth time a lot easier. And it's nice because you are always feeling like you're getting a more dense level than you really are. When you really look at it on paper, kind of how big the levels are, they do seem kind of small, but because they're so intertwined with one another, it definitely gives the game more heft. But that's really where the positives come to a stop. There are a lot of negatives for this game, and I just touched on a few of them here, but they really are big negatives. First and foremost, your character controls are not very good at all. And when you're running in a straight line and you kind of wobble the analog stick left and right and you see your character kind of flailing his arms, you kind of get a sense of what I'm talking about. I'm not really sure why. I can almost say it feels like ice skating. If you're familiar with that term, playing an online game where you'll make a movement and then it's like a second later before the movement actually takes hold. It's not that pronounced, but you definitely never feel like you're in complete control of your character. There's a lot of challenges and puzzles that involve you running, like wall jumping, for example. The first time you wall jumped in Titanfall, it felt right. I know it did because I've done it, and it's a very intuitive, I don't want to say forgiving, but The system knows what you're trying to do and it works with you. The number of times in this game that I died because I was trying to wall run between consecutive walls or wall run and jump onto a platform and died is just baffling, because the lack of momentum in this game is really felt. Because you never really have a good sense of when you press a button versus when your character is going to actually do something. There are a lot of canned animations that the game tries to force itself into. It's almost like you press jump, but the character will only jump off with maybe his right foot, for example. So if your left foot happens to be down, you have to wait an extra step before the animation kicks in. Combat is very muddy in the same way. It's very sloppy. You're going to find you're smashing the parry button or the jump button a lot in order to get your character to move out of the way. And when you get hit, your character will stagger and you almost enter the stun lock phase, where you get hit. And once you get hit, you're, I wouldn't say dead, but you're going to basically take numerous attempts to stand up while an enemy's wailing on you because your character's kind of flopping around, and it just is not refined at all. I don't know if this is a lack of Respawn Entertainment not familiar with third-person games, or if it's them trying to really emphasize this difficulty spike, but the controls overall are just not good. I mean, really not good. Let's talk about rewards. This game, as I mentioned, does have a large emphasis on exploration. Almost immediately when you start and you're finally in control on that first planet, you're going to say, hey, look, you can go right to the objective, or over here is this really cool thing. And then you're going to want to go check that out, and you're going to be walking in weird platforms and checking out different rope bridges and vines and that sort of thing to uncover usually some sort of mini boss or some sort of area with a chest that you haven't been to before. Definitely well off the standard path. And that is rewarding until you open up the chest and you get one of two items. You're going to get a different colored cloak or some different colored shawl for your character. So you can wear a white cloak, you can wear a blue cloak, you can wear a cloak that's got lace on it, you can wear a cloak that's ripped, or you're going to get some different sort of armor piece that doesn't include any statistical bonus, purely cosmetic. Or you're going to get some sort of lightsaber gizmo. Your hilt is going to be gold or blue or have a skull on it, or your lightsaber blade is going to be pink instead of blue or red or green or whatever. And it's just not rewarding at all, particularly since your lightsaber is going to be about that big on the screen, and it's not like you're ever really looking at it. You're swinging like a madman, with over-the-shoulder camera, so you're never really going to actually see that at all outside of the blade color. It's just like, why even put these things in here? How many different customizations of lightsaber do I need? It got to the point for me where I would see some treasure out there and I would say, you know what? It's just not worth it anymore. There's not enough density of stuff in this game that really warrants that level of exploration. I briefly touched on the punishing combat, particularly in how weak of a Jedi you are, that your character just constantly falls on his ass and flops over constantly. But I'd also like to mention that combat is very punishing in that Dark Souls sense, that it's very, very unforgiving. You're gonna get hit once or twice in a level and you're gonna die. Your health potions are not going to recover your health to full. You're going to have to make that risk-reward decision over when you rest at a waypoint to totally replenish your health and all of your first aid kits, but bring back enemies, or just have a quick stop and continue on your journey. They really borrowed a lot from the Dark Souls formula here. It gets very grindy. And unlike Dark Souls that had a litany of spells and armor and different types of builds you can have, the skill tree in this just doesn't warrant that level of grind. It's a very, very bland skill tree with sort of spokes kind of walking you up through different abilities, but ultimately nothing I unlocked ever felt great. I mean, like, one of the first skills you unlock is heavy attack. So you have on the Xbox controller, you have your light attack, which is mapped to X. You unlock heavy attack, which is mapped to Y. Like, that's your first unlock. It is just not rewarding at all. Not in the way like an Assassin's Creed game is, not in the way like a Borderlands game is, with a very robust, very advanced skill tree that allows you to customize your character to your liking. This game doesn't have that at all. So, really a lot of negatives. I mean, the only thing I think that brings me back is that it is a good Star Wars game, and I do love that Star Wars universe. And I'm always excited that we get more into that. I think this being kind of timed with the release of Mandalorian just really shows me, at least, how poor people have done with a phenomenal universe that is Star Wars. Outside of all of the standard Luke Skywalker, even the Jedi stuff, honestly, there's a lot to explore here and uncover here. And I think this game does a really good job of that. That's what brings me back, meeting these weird alien races, meeting these different characters, exploring different planets, kind of uncovering this mystery of what is going on this planet, particularly in this part of the Star Wars lore, kind of in the history. But really, outside of that, the moment-to-moment gameplay is just a slog. It's not rewarding. It's not satisfying. It's not even boring. It's just a chore. I would honestly, at this point, I would be okay with somebody putting together a recap video with them inserting all of the major cutscenes. I think that would honestly be more satisfying than playing this game. So definitely a pass for me. I did get it for free, so to speak, from Origin Premiere on PC. So I'm glad I didn't have to buy it. If I did, I'd probably be a little more disappointed because I spent a little more money on it. But for me, this game is no bueno. It is positive that the press likes it. It's positive that hopefully the sales do well, and that Respawn takes a solid idea with a really loving character and a really great supporting cast and does something better with them in the future and makes the moment-to-moment gameplay rewarding, because you're not going to get lost in this game like you did on Assassin's Creed or like you did on Horizon Zero Dawn or even like I did on Ghost Recon, because it's just so much of a chore to play. Hope you guys found this review informative. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think about it. Have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.